Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the United Regional Chambers Weekly Update. We try and bring you some interesting guests, some interesting subjects on a weekly basis. And today I get the pleasure of talking with one of my favorite people. Her name is Kelly Fox. Kelly Fox is one of our biggest community people that you'll ever want to meet. And she is with the Attleboro Area Council for Children. And it's getting close to that time of the year. So we're going to talk a little bit about Christmases for Kids. Miss Kelly, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Jack. It's really nice to see you again.
Oh, well, I want to talk about two things today.
Okay.
First, I'd like to talk about the shelter. We had a fabulous gala here a couple of weeks ago. Raise some do-re-mi, but
Yep.
tell everybody what this shelter is going to encompass.
Well, the building is really, first and foremost, we need space for Christmases for kids. We need about 10,000 square feet, and the city of Attleboro has been incredibly generous to us. Since 2009, we've been at 135 County Street, but we know that that building is going to be eventually sold. They're going to do something else with it. And it really does need a lot of love and care and work. So we decided several years ago that we really wanted our own space. We didn't necessarily want to be at the whim of other organizations or municipalities or whatever. As wonderful as people have been in the community, it was time for us to really have our own spot. But one of the dreams that we've had as an organization for many years is to be able to put several organizations under one roof so that someone in need would be able to walk in a front door and be able to get lots of different types of help. So that's really the purpose of the building. We own the land. The Council for Children owns the land on John Deach Boulevard. There's a big sign there that says future home of the Council for Children. And what this will look like, and what we've already gone through all the town boards in North Attleboro. So it will be about 24,000 square feet. It will allow the Council for Children to be able to do Christmases for kids, which we need at least 10,000 square feet for. And then we will also be able to include a food pantry. We're hoping to be able to do nutrition classes for parents to be able to teach their kids and themselves how to cook more healthy. We want to be able to do a diaper and formula bank there. We'd like to be able to do some mentoring programs so we could do, whether it's credit counseling or any kind of financial education, so that when folks come in, they can get that kind of support. They can get the classes, they can get the education. The whole purpose is to allow them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet eventually, because I don't think there's very many people that want to always be getting help. They want enough help to sustain themselves. And that's really the purpose of the building, is to bring all these nonprofits together, to give folks enough support and education and guidance so that they can move along on their own. And I think that's better for us as a community. And so that's really where we are. We're working with a wonderful architect. Stan did An Unlikely Story. If you've ever been in the bookstore, it does a beautiful job. We really want to be very aware of LEED certifications. We won't spend the money to get the actual medallion, which I think costs tens of thousands of dollars, but we can still use sustainable products. We can be very environmentally sensitive in terms of what we do, because it's a nonprofit. Again, we're very community centric. We want to be sure that what we do is good for the community, good for the earth, good for, sustainable over hopefully, many, many years.
And, it's wonderful that you're going to bring all those agencies together. I don't want to call it a one-stop shop, but that's almost what it's going to be. And it's going to serve not just the people in Attleboro, but in North Attleboro, Norton, all the folks around that need the assistance, that need the help. But you've been doing that for many, many years, as it is with Christmases for Kids,
Right.
Because some people are under the impression that all Christmases for Kids does is give children gifts, but that's not the case. Tell us the process that the family goes through in order to qualify for Christmases for Kids.
So every parent, and keep in mind, we might take care of 900 to 1,000 children on any given year. So maybe a third of those kids come to us because a parent has applied. So the parents need to fill out an application. We ask for verifiable income. So if they're working, which is great, we want to see a recent paycheck. If they are getting welfare, we want to see that state letter saying how much they're getting. If they're homeless, we want to know that too. We want to know what agencies they're already interacting with. So we ask for some very specific documentation, third-party documentation. We also want to, assuming that they're in their own apartment or their own home, we want to see a mortgage receipt, a rent receipt, recent utility bills, so that we can match up to make sure it's the same name and address that goes along with the Massachusetts driver's license that they must show us in order to pick up their gifts. We want to see the children's birth certificates so that we know that those children belong to these parents, or if it's a guardianship situation, then we want to see we want to see the actual guardianship papers from the court. So, an aunt and uncle can't apply to get something for their nieces or nephews. It's got to be really a parent guardian situation. So we look at all that information. We look at their income. We compare that to the federal free lunch guidelines, and it is a guideline. But if someone's making way more than that, then we may reach out to them and ask them why they feel like they need to have help. Oftentimes, the answer we get is that a child is sick. Someone was making that money, but they're not going to be because there's been a crisis in the family and somebody now needs to stay home and take care of little ones. So it isn't necessarily an on-off switch. We are looking at every application very carefully, and then we are evaluating it. We also keep prior year's applications. So if someone has applied for the second, third, fourth year, we will go back and look at prior year applications to get an idea of kind of what has been the trajectory of the family. Is there something else going on where we need to maybe make sure that they have information about other agencies that might be able to help them if they've got an ongoing issue. So what happens with the other 2/3 of the kids, right? So those children come to us through New Hope, so the Battered Women's Shelter, Rape Crisis Center, the Department of Children and Families might send 200 to 250 children's wish lists to us that are in foster care, or somehow DCF is involved in the family. We work very closely with the Justice Resource Institute. So that's the Young Parent Program. That would be the, I've got the initials in my head, Journey Home. So all of these different group homes for teens so that we get their wish lists as well. We also work with Catholic Social Services, the homeless shelters. So all of it in all, we encompass all these different organizations and agencies in our community to have them send their children's information to us so that we're not duplicating efforts. And I guess the last thing, probably the codicil to that comment, would be that we also coordinate with the YMCA. When Salvation Army was in the area, we coordinated with them, the folks at the Santa Shop at Bishop Fian. So we look at each other's lists to make sure that everybody's covered, but nobody's on more than one list.
Right. And nobody can double dip and get different things.
It would be pretty tough to do.
Right. I personally have supported the Christmas for Kids for years, but the last 3 years, I've been an elf. Could you imagine this in an elf costume, folks? Scare the life out of you. But no, I've had the opportunity to go there and see what it's such a great organization. They're so organized. You're given a task to do. They have a phenomenal team of people, volunteers that come in and help Kelly every year. We just had a gala over in Mansfield, and I was honored to be asked to speak for a few minutes. But this is such an important organization within our communities, because you don't ever want to see a child go without anything at Christmas time. And something Kelly didn't mention that she probably should, especially these families that are really hurting, and especially over the last couple of years with COVID, they always stick a little something in there for mom and dad when they can too. So nobody's kind of left out. Not every single time,
Right.
but with the due diligence and everything that Kelly and her team does, they know who really could use it, a little bit of a boost. But it's like clockwork going in there. And we have a drill sergeant. Her name is Kelly. She has an assistant by the name of Alan. He's the vice president of do whatever Kelly says to do. That's Kelly's husband. But tell us now, if somebody would like to donate or to adopt a child, so to speak. I don't know if those are the right words, but tell us that process.
Sure. So we actually call it matching children because it's funny. When it used to be, a lot of people would call it adopting children, and so we really thought carefully about the words that we use, right? Because you don't get to take these kids home, but we can match donors to children's wish lists. So there's a few things going on already. So if people are thinking about doing a toy drive or a coat drive or whatever it is that they might like to do for general donations, then we would encourage them to get started on that fairly soon. I know Christmas is the 25th, but by the time we're done, it's right around December 15th, because the elves all need to kind of rest and kind of catch their breath a little bit and get ready for their own family's holidays. And we do have a day or two kind of clean up afterwards. So if people want to help, start thinking about it now. If you want to be matched specifically to a child, then our drop-off center phones are going to open on November 20th, which is a Sunday from 12 to 2. And actually the phone number for that will be confirmed with Verizon, and we'll announce that as we get a little bit closer. But I would just suggest that you also perhaps come to our open house, which is our backlot tour. That's going to be on November 19th from 1 to 4. We just let the public come in. We'll have the story sheets there. We can get people matched up at that point as well. If you wanted to drop something off to H&'s Garage, Sarah will be happy to take whatever you'd like to drop off, new toys or clothes. I'm trying to think if the Emery Board in Plainville also will do a collection. Family Medical Associates in North Attleboro also does a collection, as does the Norton Fire Department. So there are certainly some organizations already in our community that are happy to start to collect items. And if it would be okay for us just to take 1 second back to the parents, because you're right, there is one other thing that would be important, I think, for folks to know, is that the first year that someone comes into the program as a parent, it's just the application. After that, for every year that you're in the program, whether it's consecutive or you've skipped a couple of years and then you come back, because we have records going back to 2004 of every parent and child that's come through our program. So any parent that's already been in the program at least 1 year needs to take at least 8 hours of classes. So this year we connected up with Boston Children's Hospital, and we did 2 hours on safety for children newborn to age 3, and we did 2 hours of safety from 3 to age 6. And then we did another 2 hours. We connected up. Thank you, Kyle Cares in North Attleboro, for introducing us to the folks at Minding Your Mind. And we did a 2-hour program on just mental health and the importance of recognizing signs and signals from children as parents, where there may be some things that to be concerned about. We also have connected up with the local libraries, with American Credit Counseling. So there are lots of ways for parents to be able to take some classes with the purpose of then not needing to stay on the program. And I think that if you remember, we had a parent speak at the gala, and she is doing fabulously well. And a lot of what she talks about is those classes, especially the financial classes, to help her learn how to budget, to get out of debt, to save for the down payment on a house, to save for college for her children. Like, all of these different classes are available for parents to be able to get the knowledge, get the support, all for free, to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and go on with whatever they want to do. And I think that's extremely important. And it's good for the kids, I think, to see the parents learning and getting better and making changes in their own financial life, to be able to move along. And some of the classes through the library could help somebody get a better job. They're great classes. So I think that that's really important too, that donors understand that it isn't just a matter of someone applies and we give them something. That's the first year. But going forward, there is an expectation that parents would start to get more, or find ways to be able to help themselves. And for the parents who, where English is a second language, and maybe they're going to the literacy center and they're still not really comfortable enough, maybe taking the classes in English, we encourage them to volunteer in the community that's helping them with their kids. Right. So not with Christmases for Kids. We want them to go out, volunteer at the library, volunteer at the literacy center, volunteer at a soup kitchen, but you need to do at least 20 hours of volunteer work. So we give them those choices. And I think that's really important. And a lot of them, it's not uncommon actually for parents to come back years after having been a Christmases for Kid parent. Right. And to come back and volunteer or donate. It's really wonderful to sort of see that go full circle.
It's so gratifying when they do come full circle, because they do recognize the help that you've given them, and they want to give back a little bit too, which is very important. And the last 2 years, especially with the COVID, I know that we were kind of shorthanded a little bit with some volunteers because only certain folks could go in. So if you have some time, if you have the inclination that you want to give up a couple of hours or a couple of days to come in and help volunteer, we'd certainly love to have you come in. There's many, many jobs that can be done. And I know Kelly and her team would be very grateful if you would volunteer. So
Absolutely.
Kelly, any last thoughts before we go?
ELF training. So if someone
yes,
would like to, this is the perfect tee up. So if someone would like to help, then ELF training is going to be on November 12th. All of our elves are quarried. We will have blank quarries there, or you can go to our website, which is councilforchildren.org, pull the quarry form down. You can do that right now and send it in to us. That way you're all set and ready to go. And if you go to the calendar at the councilforchildren.org website, you'll see all of the volunteer hours are already up there. We checked that this morning, so that I'd be sure to be able to announce it today. But this has been great, Jack. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell folks about something that's so near and dear to my heart. And we love, love, love having you with us. It's been really fun. It's a good team. I think if you've got people coming back year after year after year, I want to think that the leadership's doing something right.
Well, you certainly are, because, all of us have different passions, and you have turned mine, one of my many, into the Christmases for Kids, because the first couple of years I wasn't sure, but especially the last 2, working with that team over there, you can't find a better group of folks who are so giving and so wonderful to the community. So Kelly Fox, Christmases for Kids, Attleboro Area Council for Churches. Thank you very much for coming on my show today.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see some of you folks at their open house or at ELF training. And I promise I won't put those tights on for ELF training. That just scares too many people. That's for Halloween. So, folks, thank you once again. Big shout out to Dave Angel and the team over at AACS for putting up with me and producing our show every week. And next week, we will have Cynthia Sierra, the new CEO of Manat Community Health, that has opened up their facility in Attleboro. They've actually been there a year. And she's going to share with us some of the things that they do. So, Kelly, Dave, thank you very much. Folks, have a great rest of the week.